Hello everybody, I am Simona Mainini with Feng Shui for Architecture Training Center, and today I would like to share with you some insight about the 5 elements. First of all, what are the 5 elements? The 5 elements, there are 5. The first one is the fire, the earth, the metal, the water, and the wood. And then the cycle starts all over again. So there are 5. As you can see, these are different from the 4 elements of Western astrology. And why are they different? I'm going to tell you in a second here. So first of all, this is one of the basic Feng Shui theory. And it's not basic just for Feng Shui, but is actually basic to all the family of Chinese metaphysics, of ancient Chinese metaphysics. There also are the Qi, or the concept of life force energy that is in every human being and everything that exists in nature. The yin and yang, which is the opposite existing in nature, the duality of the physical universe, opposite that attracts. And then the 5 elements that represent the circle of energy that is never created nor destroys, but constantly transformed. All of these 3 together create the 8 triagrams that we also see in the I Ching. In the I Ching, we see them paired up in 2s. Those are hexagrams, but the basics are actually 3 lines, broken line and straight line, yin and yang, and each of them is associated with one of the 5 elements as well. So that gives you an idea how ancient the 5 elements really are, because if you think that the Book of the I Ching was written about 3,500 years ago, take it or leave it, you know, century more, century less, I guess. That's quite old. The 5 elements was already there, so that is quite old, and is one of the foundation for everything else. So let's see, these are the 5 elements of nature. And it is referring to the 5 elements of nature. So when we talk about fire, we talk about the physical fire. When we talk about earth, we talk about the physical earth. When we talk about metal, we're talking about the physical metal. And when we talk about water, we talk about the physical water. And when we talk about wood, we talk about the physical wood of living plants. So we're not talking about picture of the element. We are not talking about symbols of the element. We are not talking about plastic, upholstery, leather. You know, none of them belongs to the 5 elements. We are talking about the Qi of this physical element that exists in nature. First of all, so these are the 5 elements existing in nature. Also, they derive by nature, and the way they derive by nature is when we look at the big scheme of things, we are looking about the 4 seasons. The 5 elements actually derive from the 4 seasons. And I can hear some of you saying, wait a minute, we have 5 elements and 4 seasons. How is that these are related? Here it is. So the 4 seasons are wood for the spring, you know, the wood that grows in the spring. And then we have the fire for summer, very hot, fiery sun in the summer. And then in winter, maybe it's a little, in fall, in autumn is a little bit less intuitive, but is related to the metal element because it's cooling, is contracting, versus the other 2 were expanding. This one is contracting, they're colder, and then the water in the winter is the yin of the yin. So these are the 4 elements of the 4 seasons. But then in between one season and the next, you have that few weeks that, depending where you are in the world, goes in between 3 weeks and 9 weeks, more or less, you know, kind of. You can measure in your area more specifically, but is that sleeve of in-between season that is taking a little bit from one and a little bit from the other. So it's nor here nor there. So you have that time period, for example, is very obvious in the winter, between winter and spring. You have that 2 weeks at the end of January, 2-3 weeks at the end of January, maybe in some places the entire month of January. that is not as cold, but not quite warm. You know, it's a little bit of a gray zone, let's say. In this case, it's the earth zone. And in fact, you know, January is considered earth element. Also, you will look at generally coincide with the ox month, so it is a earth element. Then the other space that we have is at the end of April, and or in some cases the entire of April, you know, depending where you are. That's associated with the month of the dragon, and that is in between spring and summer. So that also is an earth element. The next one over is the sheep. The sheep is an earth element, is a yin earth element, and it is between summer and fall. And then you have the next one over is going to be the dog month, which is in October, and it is between autumn and winter. So as you can see, there are these 4 points where the season is transitioning, and the energy of the planet is picking up from both. So those are considered earth elements. And so there you have it, you have 5 elements, right? These are also considered the 5 elements of life because it's very much used in life destiny, Feng Shui life destiny, the 4 pillars of life destiny in Chinese metaphysics is all based on the 5 elements and the interaction of an individual 5 elements of the year, the months, the days, and the time with the current year, the current month, the current hour, to identify how much qi they're getting in terms of time. That pretty much, it's what in ancient Chinese metaphysics is called luck. Luck is not a blinded goddess, it's based on your qi and the qi of the time and how it interacts with you. So that's an application for life that you use of the 5 elements. Another application is in traditional medicine. The 5 elements in traditional medicine, it's used in a way completely different than it is for Chinese astrology or for Feng Shui, but it is nevertheless related to the productive cycle of the element. The productive cycle is that fire creates earth, earth produces metal, metal produces water, water produces wood, and wood produces fire. So this is the productive cycle. And we are very particular in Feng Shui about the productive cycle. But in Chinese medicine, these are used slightly different. Sometimes you might have a productive cycle. Sometimes you might use a reductive cycle. Sometimes you might use the destructive cycle, but that's because the applications are different in terms of acupuncture point or in terms of the herbology. Sometimes you might have a person that has too much fire, so you need to reduce the fire. You give them prescription, herbal prescription to reduce this fire, or you might use acupuncture to reduce this fire. Sometimes they might have too much wood, and then you would use a ways, you know, an acupuncture herbs to reduce this wood. So it really depends. The applications are very, very different than they are in Feng Shui. So when it comes to Feng Shui, how do we apply the 5 elements? We have multiple applications. We use the 5 elements, for example, to identify the energy triagram of a person. So based on the energy of a person would be one of the 5 elements. And remember, Feng Shui has to do with buildings. So it's not the same application that you would have for astrology or that you would have for Chinese medicine. You know, within those contexts, you might have other use of the 5 elements, but in Feng Shui, you strictly use the 5 elements in relationship of a building and a person relationship. So you would identify the element of the person, you would identify the element of the building, you would harmonize the two of them. And the way you harmonize them, it would be by the position of their sleeping direction, the position of their desk, the position of their stove, the position of their entry door, the color and material that you use for that. They are based in harmonizing the two. So this application pretty much we cover in terms of interior design and architecture, we cover them in our level 1. We start right away from level 1, course 1. And then course 2 and course 3, there are further application as the theory changes. There are different application of the 5 elements, but we apply them to interior design, interior decorating, interior architecture, landscape design. And so the application are tremendous. And this is what we do in our course, starting with level 1, which is Feng Shui for Architecture, Interior Design, and Landscape. So I want to invite you to take one of our classes, or one of our courses, I should say, and learn how to apply them, whether it is for your personal use or for your professional improvement. You're welcome to join us other ways. I'm going to leave you the information down here below and at the end of this video. And I'm looking forward to see you soon in one of our classes, or in YouTube in one of our other videos. Check out our other videos as well. I'm looking forward to see you soon. Take care.